Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm Amy Pierce Standers with E3 Coaching Studios, and we're going to talk about vision boards today. Vision boards don't have to just be the beginning of a year event. They can help bring clarity when something new pops into your brain where you want to make a change or accomplish a goal. But of course, they have a tendency to be the start of a new year. And here we are at 2021, and hopefully a better year than 2020 was for a lot of us. There was a lot of loss, whether it was family and friends who became ill or passed because of COVID. Also, a lot of job loss. Being in our homes with one another, a lot of relationship issues, whether those relationships got better. I have several people in my circle who unfortunately their relationships didn't last. And so there's been a lot of loss, and hopefully 2021 is going to be a miraculous year. And I would just love to hang out with you for a little bit and talk about vision boards. Vision boards are simply, as you see behind me, I just have a poster board, and that's what I tend to go with because it's easy for me to add things, remove things, but you can go with cork boards, magnetic boards. I have a friend who is going to be painting a wall and with a magnetic paint, and so she can stick things on it. So whatever works best for you, go for it. But essentially, vision boards are bringing clarity to your goals, and sometimes not even realizing what that clarity is until you are spending time going through the process. For me, unfortunately, it's not showing well for you right here, but the top of my board says self, partner, family and friend, community, and E3 coaching. I apologize that you can't see that very well. My easel broke this morning, so I rigged one up with a microphone stand. But how I categorize my life to make sure that I am fulfilling all five of those parts is a wonderful friend of mine, Trudy No Brown, several years ago, created this tool. And it's a tool to make sure that we are filling the different buckets so that we can have balance in our lives. And since that time, I utilized that tool, but then I also have begun categorizing my visions to make sure that I'm concentrating. Essentially, for a vision board, if you're going to go totally old school, you get some kind of board. It can be a poster board. If you are a true environmentalist, which I am working on getting better all the time, you can take pieces of cardboard if you've had something shipped in and create it from that. A vision board should be unique to you and what you want to do in life. Essentially that, and good old magazines. For me, I no longer subscribe to print magazines. Um, So I called my local library here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and said, hey, I want to create a vision board. I'm going to do a workshop on it. Do you have any magazines that I can purchase? And my timing was right. And they actually just said, we're weeding through all of our magazines right now. So stop by. And I was able to get a plethora from the Whitetail Journal to Popular Science to Old House to In Touch Weekly. And don't dismiss any magazine because it's not about the content that's in the magazine. It's about what you find in those magazines. For an example, this picture here says, the more you understand her world, the more possibilities you see. And so for me, I have been doing coaching for over 20 years. I've been in the world of workforce development, career development, for all of that time. And I've always done this as a side gig. And now it's time for me to put some arms around it, take the steps, and stop being afraid. And so this piece speaks volumes to me because one of my goals is to work with students to help them figure out their next paths. We as a society so often feel like there's some kind of career fairy that walks around and visits students in the middle of the night and says, hey, you're going to be this when you grow up. And that's really unfair of us. Life could be so much better if we helped the littles and the bigs in our lives understand what their innate strengths, talents, gifts, and things that they hate doing. Also, we are a generational society of still doing jobs that our parents, our grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors do, but those aren't always a good fit for us as a person. So when I saw this piece that has Julia from Sesame Street on it, it spoke to me. And so up under E3 coaching, right now we have another way, and I'm going to add this piece of the more you understand your world, the more possibilities you'll see. And that is a goal for me when I'm working with students, generally in high school or college, or those who chose not to pursue post-secondary education. I really, when we're working together, want to understand who they are. We do that by understanding personality, values, likes, dislikes, and different things like that. And so that's just encouraging to me that I will seek that out as a goal. Another goal for me this year, and I was so glad to find this, oops, wrong way on the camera, is how do you say thanks? I've always prided myself on living a life of gratitude. And I do that often by sending out cards. But I noticed in 2020, I would go through seasons. And what I mean by that is I would not send cards for 6 weeks and then I would send out 8 of them. And so a personal goal for me this year is to say thanks, or I see you, or I'm thinking of you on a weekly basis. My plan is to reach out via card, a note, a phone call to at least one person in my life that I haven't connected with recently, or who has been a huge gift to me, or who may need touch. So that's going to be a personal goal over here under self. And when I say we don't always know what is out there, rolling around in our brain of what our goals might be and why vision boards, they can bring things to the surface that we didn't realize were important. For me, one of those realities was not realizing that rolling over my 401k was important to me. I have been in the an employee for the last several years, and my position was eliminated in early September. And that's how I ended up deciding this was what I wanted to do. It's what I've been doing for years and years on somebody else's behalf. And now I want to do it on my own so that I can make an impact at a grassroots level on my own terms. And one of those guiding lights for me this year is going to be if I can roll over my 401k. To me, that will mean that E3 is getting successful. So now here's the question. Do I put it under self or do I put it under E3? For this, I am going to put it actually under E3 because it's going to be a financial goal that's attached to E3. But I don't want to cover up Julia. And these boards can be anything you want them to be. Um, you can see with mine, I like things that are kind of all over. Other folks like to have things in line and straight. Hey, Brandy, I'm glad you made it too. Thank you for being here. Um, Vision boards, again, just because these are my categories of self, partner, family and friends, community, and E3 coaching, yours may be very different. Um, I have a friend who she essentially categorizes hers into three pieces. It is as a parent, because she's a newly single parent in the last couple of years. It is as a worker and as self. I have some of my clients who don't like to categorize at all and just love to put all of their goals out there. Another thing that I have over here that I found that I want to put on my board for this year is blended makes us better. A huge belief for me is that we're all unique and human in our experiences. And we have a society that discriminates often against individuals of color, individuals on the LGBT 2S spectrum, ageism, ableism, all different types of things. And I often volunteer for organizations and make donations to organizations that make a difference in these worlds. And given the events of 2020, and thank God that they've been brought to light, unfortunately, through horrific circumstances, but I feel like we're paying attention in America. And so this blended makes us better is a true belief for me. I don't believe that individuals need to assimilate, but I believe in everybody having a seat at the table. And so that's going to go under my community. You can see as before we even started, I had added a couple of things that aren't from magazines. You may have pieces around. For me, I printed off this GSMIS, Girl Scouts of Michigan Shore to Shore, because I'm on their board and I want to continue to be a active and giving member of the board, not just somebody that's there for a seat. I also am looking at one of my goals is becoming more involved in MICDA, which is the Michigan Career Development Association. I've made a commitment to that organization that I'd like to get more involved this year. And so it doesn't have to be pieces from magazines. I was torn as I was preparing for this. I have a beautiful card from a friend that says, always remember you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think. And I was trying to decide, does that go on my board? And then I realized it's been sitting there. I'm an individual that things become invisible to me if they're around too often. And so, because it's out of the corner, I'm not always looking there. I wanted to keep it there as opposed to part of my board. So, you may have embellishments that you want to add. Don't let anybody else or anything that you read on the internet stop you. You can have sparkles and um, uh, whatever you want on there. You will see, for the sake of ease today, I did not want to play around with glue while we were on Facebook Live. So most of the time I do use glue. I am using tape today. And don't be afraid to use markers. Your handwriting is statistically proven. If you write things down, you're more likely to concentrate on those. So other things that I pulled off when I was quickly going through magazines, and when I say quickly, I probably spend an hour just because I love it. And I love to see what manifests for me, what rises to the top. And one of the things that also defy the past, wear the future. And for me, that is a gift. And my primary goal of E3 is to help people stop living in the past or being harnessed around their past and moving into their current and future selves. So there's another goal for E3. If you've seen my previous post, I introduced our cast of characters recently, which is 3 kitties and 2 puppies. 3 kitties are rescues. The puppies are new additions to our family. And one of my categories on here that doesn't have anything quite yet is partner. And so my wife and I want to raise these pups as part of our family. And that does include them being on the couch, hanging out, and we're learning all the time how to be good dog parents. To be honest, I've always had animals in my life, but they always belong to my sister, my dad, somebody else. And so that's where I'm just pulling this off, is to make sure that I'm aware. One of my personal goals since we got the pups has been to walk them twice a day. And so keeping up on that strategy, but then also enhancing what else. It's funny. There are people in our neighborhood that walk around with 2 dogs, and the dogs are well behaved and they walk together. And I look at them and I admire them. But recently I've come to the realization that are their dogs having fun compared to ours? I'm always embarrassed. I look like a circus show when we're taking out there. I constantly am switching around both of their leashes to accommodate, but they're going out and they're doing things. And so this not only represents spending time, but learning their personalities. We chose to become dog parents, and so we need to create a life that is good for them and is individual to them. So that might seem like a silly goal to a lot of people, but for me, that's important. And so it's all individualistic, and it could be whatever you want. For those of you who are viewing, I would love to hear if you have 1 or 2 goals, dreams, accomplishments that you are hoping to accomplish during 2021. I would love, so throw that in the comments if you have some thoughts on that. And we'll talk about that and how vision boards can help make that come true. One thing as a partner is unconditional love. This popped out at me, and my wife, that's something that is very important to her. And I'm not always good about it. The saying of your hardest on the people that are closest to you, that can be me in my relationship. I often give a lot of grace and counsel people to give grace. But when it comes to being a partner, I need to be better at that. It's something that I'm continually working on. And so when this came up, totally spoke to me. So when you're all done with your vision board, it's up to you to what you do with it. You can place it in a space, whether it's in an office wall, on an office wall, in your bathroom where you're seeing it on a daily basis. Those who are good at noticing stuff in their space. My sister's great at that. A couple of my nieces are fantastic at that. Um, however, as I mentioned earlier, things become just part of the scene. Uh, my wife will tell you often she can redecorate, um, and it takes me a while to notice it. It's not that I don't care, it's just I become accustomed to what's there. So, what I actually do with my vision board, when I'm done with it for the year, I like to be surprised by it. And so I put it behind my bedroom door, just because that's where I have my extra accessories, scarves, and different things like that. And since I don't often go go with that style, the fact that I'm only there once a week, it's like, yeah, how am I doing? And it sets the tone for reflection for me. So that's where I put it. I know other folks and some of my clients who stuff it away in a closet. They don't look at it again. They put it in the basement until the end of the year. And then they do a comparison of where they've been and what they accomplished that year. So, excuse me. So I see, Brandy, thank you so much for sharing that you want a better balance between self, health, and all else. I applaud you for that. Good for you. Um, Perhaps your board does not need all of these since you have one really big, hairy, audacious goal. And it's how do you balance? I know you're a mama, you're a wife, you're an incredible worker. You dedicate yourself to community causes. And so maybe self is here because you do all of that other stuff automatically. So thank you for sharing with us, Brandy. Um, okay, Rachel, yes, you are an amazing mama. So balancing your little guy's sports, I guess he's not so little anymore, housework, being an incredible, um, I don't know if insurance person is the right word or not, but just being really incredible at what you do, that's a lot to manage. Um, all of those identities, we wear so many identities. And so in here, one of them I have, well, I'm not going to waste your time while I look through a bag of magazines, but it was a magazine specific to organization. And then I also have a lot of self help. So concentrating what you're pulling from might be helpful. So, all right. I love the meditation, yoga, and praying too, Casey. Uh, I think those are all great balances as well. So I really appreciate um, each and every one of you sharing. Um, are there any questions that those that are gifting your time to me today have about vision boards? I would love to answer any of those. And Casey, you just brought something to me. Is I am reading a great book right now called The Body is Not an Apology. And I have always been afraid to try yoga, but I think I'm going to find something to put up on my vision board about yoga um, and give that a shot this year. So thank you for sharing that. So awesome. Um, if you have any questions about vision boards, please reach out to me at Amy at e3coachingstudio.com. Also, you can give me a ring at any time, 616-552-9702. Happy to answer any of those questions. And again, really, vision boards are a way for you to realize what's in you that needs to be brought to the top. Some things we're very aware of, but not necessarily everything that um, our awareness is not always there. So that is the primary purpose. Yes, you can keep adding and you're removing. One thing about vision boards, please don't think that just because you put something on there, it has to stay with you. It is a goal board, a visionary board of who you want to be. So you want to be thoughtful, but sometimes after we make a decision about something, we may realize, yeah, no, that doesn't really align with who I am. I was feeling pressure from somebody else to make that a goal, or yeah, it doesn't really fit into my life. Um, Rachel mentioned housework. We have a lot of pressure to maintain cleanly homes and to be, sorry about the old adage, like the Joneses and live a life of comparison. And Rachel might spend a lot of time saying, okay, I need to organize, I get more efficient, create processes, and do different things. But if they exhaust her more than they help her, rip that sucker off. Also, I really do hope that you discover new things about yourself. And so, yes, add to it. When you find out about something that sparks joy for you, um, add to the sucker. Um, for me, as I mentioned, reading the book The Body Is Not an Apology, also currently reading Caste. And I am learning so much from both of those books that I will be leaving room under myself as well as my community to be a better person. So, yeah, great question. Thank you, Randy. So awesome. I appreciate each and every one of you being here with me today. We'll be going live at 12:30 as well, discussing at that time how you can use vision boards to learn about your kiddos. So if you have the time, please join us at 12:30. Also, um, if you do not have the time, just when you do have the time, it'll be on my Facebook page at E3 Coaching Studio. And hit it anytime when you do. But I do implore you, if you have not only your own children, maybe you're a foster parent, grandchildren, aunt, uncle, coach, whatever, take the time, because vision or dream boards really can pull out things in the kiddos in your life. So please consider doing that. Casey did one with her son yesterday. To help her see his light. I absolutely love that, Casey. Um, Curious, did you find out anything new about Isaac that you weren't necessarily aware of before? Super curious. The reason my curiosity is I've never done one of these with a student or a child in my world, and you will, if you stay in touch with E3 Coaching Studio, will know that I have an amazing plethora of nieces and nephews. Not a parent on my own, but they are my treasures and my gifts. So that's why 12:30 vision boards, learning about your kiddos is important for me to do. So I hope you'll join us then. In the meantime, remember, vision boards, magazines laying around your house, your workplace, go to the library, local thrift shops, poster board. Again, if you are fancier than I, cork boards, magnetic boards, whatever works for you, and tape, glue, and markers. So hope to see you at 12:30. Thank you for being here. Take care.